She broke up with me, but still texted like we were together. Reddit story. Have you ever lost someone but still felt like they were everywhere? Have you ever been broken up with, only to keep receiving the same messages, the same habits, the same voice from the person who said they needed distance? This isn't a story about being ghosted or cheated on. It's about something quieter, more confusing. It's about being left behind, but still being held on. To Ben didn't fight when Mia ended things. He respected her need for space, but what hurt was that she never actually gave it. This is the story of a man who didn't lose love in a dramatic ending, but slowly, in the quiet weight of messages that never really let him go. Ben and Mia were together for almost 2 years. Simple, comfortable, steady. Until one night, Mia said she needed space. Said she didn't feel like herself. Said it wasn't about him. So Ben let her go. He didn't beg, didn't question. He trusted her words and started grieving. But 3 days later, she texted a meme, something inside jokey, harmless, but heavy. Then a few days after, a voice note, a photo of his favorite coffee shop. Then, "This made me think of you. You'd still laugh at this, right?" And it continued. She texted him when her day was bad, when work overwhelmed her, when she missed his dog, when a movie reminded her of them, and every time Ben answered, not because he thought she was coming back, but because her presence felt familiar, and hope is a hard thing to kill. But then he saw her tagged in a photo with someone new, and that night she messaged him again, "I'm so glad we're still close. You mean so much to me." And for the first time, Ben felt it differently. She wasn't reaching out because she missed him. She was reaching out because she missed who she was. When she was with him, he wasn't her boyfriend, he was her emotional backup, so he didn't reply. No confrontation, no closure. Text, just quiet. Because when someone leaves, but still expects access, you don't owe them pieces of the version of you they didn't choose to stay with. This wasn't a breakup with screaming. It was a slow unraveling, disguised as care. Mia said she needed space, but what she really wanted was freedom with familiarity. She didn't want Ben as a partner, but she didn't want to lose him completely either. And that is its own kind of selfish. It's not about being cruel. It's about not knowing how to let go. Ben became her comfort zone, her safe inbox, her emotional cushion, and he allowed it because some part of him still hoped she'd return. But real healing doesn't happen when you're still available. To the very person who's already moved on, Ben's strength wasn't in replying, it was in finally choosing silence. Reddit exploded with responses because so many people have been there, broken up with but never fully released. You left, but still texting commented. She didn't want him, she just didn't want to feel the loss. That's not love. 6K likes. And yet, that's exactly what so many people settled for. You emotional placeholders shared. I wasn't her boyfriend anymore, but I was still her therapist, cheerleader, best friend. Until I stopped answering, quite 2K likes. Because the moment you say, I need space, you lose the right to expect constant presence. You, no closure. Needed wrote, his silence was louder than her, I miss you, 8K likes. And sometimes not replying is the most honest thing you can do. I was. Ben too said, she didn't break his heart. She left just enough hope to keep it bleeding. 3K likes. And that's the hardest wound to close because it never fully opens. but never really heals. Ben's story is a reminder that love doesn't end in a final message. Sometimes it ends in all the ones that keep coming. After goodbye, and the bravest thing you can do is stop answering, even if your heart still wants to. We still loved each other, but it was time to let go. Reddit story. Some breakups come suddenly, explosive, ugly, easy to hate. But others, they're slower, softer, and far more painful because they don't come from betrayal. They come from timing, distance, change. This is not a story about being hurt. It's about being honest, about letting go. Not because the love is gone, but because life took you both in different directions. Tonight, we share the story of Daniel and Erin, two people who still loved, even as they walked away. Daniel and Erin met at 24, fell in love fast, moved in within 6 months. They built a life filled with little things, inside jokes, lazy Sunday, pancakes, matching toothbrushes. For 4 years, they never screamed, never threatened to leave. But over time, things shifted. Erin got a job offer in another state. Daniel's father fell sick. She traveled more. He stayed home more. They kept saying, "We'll figure it out." But they didn't. The calls became calendar items, the conversations more practical, the silences heavier. When they were together, it still felt right, but less often and for shorter moments. Then came that final weekend. Erin visited. They cooked dinner, watched a movie, laughed like they used to. But something felt borrowed, like time was on a timer. And the night before she left, she turned to Daniel and said, "You didn't do anything wrong, and I didn't either, but I think we've arrived at different destinations." He didn't argue, didn't cry. He just pulled her closer and whispered, "I know." There was no final fight. No, "let's try one more time." Just a long hug, a silent goodbye, and the quiet acceptance that this was the right ending for a love that had simply run its course. This story isn't about mistakes. It's about evolution. Erin and Daniel didn't fail. They grew, just not in the same direction. And sometimes that's harder to accept than betrayal, because there's no one to blame. No wound to point at, only love that's still there, but no longer fits. What hurts more than being left is leaving someone you still love. And Daniel knew the kindest thing he could do was not to beg, not to chase, but to honor what they had by not forcing it to become what it no longer was. Some breakups don't need closure because they were the closure, the shared understanding, the unspoken grief, the final hug that said, "I will always care, but this can't continue." This story sparked quiet heartbreak across Reddit because so many people have experienced a love that ended softly but stayed with them forever. Was still. Loved each other commented, "We didn't fall apart. We just gently drifted away. And that hurts more than I can explain." 9.7K likes. Because when there's no one to blame, you carry the pain more quietly. A right person, wrong path shared. She didn't stop loving me. She just stopped seeing herself in our future. 6K likes. And that's the grief no one prepares you for. You quiet breakups. Are the loudest wrote, "This wasn't a breakup. This was a gentle ending. And those stay with you." 9.1K likes because no slamming doors means the echoes stay longer. You still miss what we were said. Some love stories don't fail. They finish. 9K likes. And finishing something doesn't make it less beautiful. Aaron and Daniel's story is a reminder that love doesn't always end with hate. Sometimes it ends with love still intact, but no longer in sync. And that might be the most adult, most heartbreaking, and most honest kind of goodbye. I was never the one, just the one after him. Reddit. Srory. Have you ever loved someone and felt like they were there, but their heart was somewhere else? Have you ever been someone's peace, their comfort, their quiet after chaos, only to realize you were never the reason their heart beat faster? You were just the reason it finally stopped aching. Tonight's story isn't about betrayal. It's about realization that you were never truly chosen, just needed. This Nick's story. A man who gave everything, gently, only to find out he was never being loved fully, only held while she tried to let go of someone else. Nick met Julia 6 months after her breakup with Liam. He knew there had been pain, but she smiled like someone trying again, with hope, with softness. They moved slowly, shared playlists, Sunday groceries, even silly inside jokes about what their first fight might be. Julia said all the right things. I feel safe with you. You're so kind.
I've never had something this stable.
But Nick noticed the small things. The way she went silent when old songs played, the way she never changed Liam's hoodie she wore on rainy days, or how she stared at photos for just 1 second longer than needed. He didn't say anything because he thought he was being paranoid. Thought love was patience, not pressure. Until one night, she fell asleep on his chest. Phone unlocked in her hand. A message popped up, from a name he knew but was never mentioned. I heard that song today, and I thought of you. I still do. Nick didn't open it. He didn't have to, because in that moment, he realized he was the rebound, the reset, the after. She wasn't cheating. She wasn't malicious. She was just stuck between letting go and holding on. And Nick, he deserved more than being someone's healing phase. This wasn't a betrayal. It was a slow, emotional mismatch. Julia wasn't using Nick, but she wasn't fully with him either. And that is its own kind of heartbreak, because when you're dating someone who hasn't healed, you become part of their recovery, not their future. Nick gave her everything: steady love, kindness, safety. But deep inside, she still had corners of her heart that whispered someone else's name. It's not always about cheating. Sometimes it's about ghosts, the emotional residue left behind that no one talks about until it shows up in a message at midnight. And Nick, he didn't cause the pain, but he was expected to fix it. He didn't leave in anger because he understood he wasn't unloved. He was just never the love story she still secretly wanted back. This story resonated deeply across Reddit because many people have been the person after, but never the person someone truly began with. I was his. Recovery 2 commented, I was the safe one, the one he cried to, but never the one he dreamed about. 6K likes. And that's the kind of role you don't realize you're playing until it's too late. You're healing, not choosing shared. She didn't use him. She just wasn't done bleeding, and he didn't deserve to be the bandage. Chat 9K likes. Because love built on unfinished grief will always feel quiet and temporary. Or don't be the after wrote, if they still flinch at his name, don't try to love them whole. You'll only break yourself. 1K likes MC. Truth spoken in full, because healing is a personal process, not a shared responsibility. The text said everything said. He didn't even open the message. He didn't need to. He just knew. 2K likes MC, and sometimes knowing is enough to finally walk away. Nick's story is a reminder that you deserve to be someone's beginning, not their break, not their safe space, after someone else's storm. Love should be whole, not half rebuilt. And when you realize you were just the person they found, when they hadn't let go of the one before you, the kindest thing you can do is let them finish their healing without you.